Singing News Radio, the voice of Southern gospel music. Well, a friend to those of us here at Singing News Radio for many years and to Singing News Magazine as well, Bob Crawford, passed away yesterday at the age of 66. Danny Jones, publisher of Singing News Magazine, is on the phone with us. Danny, a longtime associate of Bob's and also a friend of his as well. What can you tell us about this man, Danny?
Bob was a true encourager to not only the artists of gospel music, but the songwriters, to everyone in gospel music, fans, bus drivers, you name it, he encouraged them. And Bob had a great interest in the behind-the-scenes story. You know, what was the inspiration for the writing of a certain song? What led a member of a group to join a particular group? You know, things like that. That was the stuff that Bob thoroughly enjoyed digging into, discovering, and sharing with others. Very gentle man, had a great, kind spirit. Kids loved him. At concerts, he and I would work together. Kids would flock to him. I always told him it was not because of his personality, it was because you looked a lot like Santa Claus. And he got a big kick out of that. But Bob is a larger-than-life personality. When he walked into a room, he didn't walk into a room, he arrived. Mm-hmm. And he, as I said, a true friend to all of us in gospel music. And not only that, Greg, he didn't just work in gospel music. He was a fan. He loved it. It was his passion. He and I often discussed that he had two great passions in this world. One was a good restaurant. The other was a good gospel concert. And if he could do anything to mix those or anything associated with either of those, he was in. He was in all the way.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, you know, because I came to know him about 20 years ago, close to it. And, you know, he was involved with Jim Black doing a Sunday morning show. And I knew him around the station as Breakfast Bob. I had no idea of the incredible career that he had in Southern gospel music. And he was one of these guys that didn't tell you about that. He, didn't brag about everything that he had done.
No, Bob liked to stand just left of the spotlight. You know, he didn't mind being out front if you needed him to do such a thing, but he never sought the spotlight. And he did all of his work slightly behind the front line, if you will. He was the first A&R director for Canaan Records, and a lot of the big songs from the 70s are directly associated to his hard work. The inspiration songs like Touring That City, When I Wake Up to Sleep No More, a lot of the big songs from the Happy Goodman family, Wendy Bagwell and the Sunlighters, the Florida Boys, just on and on and on, all of the artists on the Canaan Records label during the early 70s and on up into the later 70s and early 80s as well. Bob had a hand in their marketing, their radio promotion, and even in some instances helping pick the songs that were recorded. So a very big footprint he left in the world of gospel music, and a lot of those songs would not be at the forefront of this music had it not been for Bob Crawford.
Most recently, he had been a contributor to Singing News Magazine, and I know fans have enjoyed what he's had to say in there.
Oh, yeah, he was quite a character, and Bob had written off and on for Singing News for almost 30 years. In fact, his column had changed titles so often that sometimes he'd get them confused and send me his column, and it would be titles, the title of the column that it was 30 years ago.
That's great.
And that was always a challenge. We would both laugh about that. But he liked to look at the gospel music through slightly different eyes. He liked to look at it from a fan perspective, but also a wannabe tenor singer. All of those different type things. He wrapped it all up in a nice, neat package, and he shared his thoughts with readers all across the country through the magazine, but also behind the singing news subscription table at many concerts. He loved to engage in conversation with fans, and he was always searching. Okay, what made that artist resonate with that fan? Okay, what did they have that fan saw? The similar things he analyzed, and he thought about all of these things. His mind would go in thousands of directions at thousands of miles per hour, and it's all centered around because his passion of gospel music was so great.
Well, I can say that he was always a very, very kind person to me, and just so genuine and so upbeat every time I engaged with him. He definitely will be missed by so many, and the legacy of Southern gospel music obviously impacted in a great way by Bob Crawford. More information about Bob, his arrangements will be available on our website, singingnewsradio.com, under news. They're also posted on our social media on Facebook. And I think it's kind of fitting, as you talked about his career and some of those artists that he played a part in, one of those being the Florida Boys. Hallelujah Square. We'll have that coming up here on Throwback Thursday. I think that's fitting that we dedicate that to Bob Crawford's memory. Danny, thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir.